brains. West 10th Street, Great Bend.
Sports Day is brought to you by Barton Community College. Explore your future and get started now. Visit gobarton.com.
Okay, Sports Day in 3, 2, 1.
He had 15 and a half of the 55 sacks that the Kansas City Chiefs had. So this guy is 30% of your sack production. He's the only guy on the Chiefs defense that opposing offensive coordinators have to circle and say, we got to have a plan. If you take Chris Jones off of that defense, they are mediocre at best.
Oh, preseason All-American good. And I think a lot of people at the next level believe he's the best offensive guard in college football. He's a unique talent because he has the ability to play really all 5 positions.
Lost 3 seniors last year with Valerie, Riley, and Kendall. But this year we have 6 seniors on the court, and then we've got Harley, our manager. Most of those girls have all seen court time and have been on a varsity court. We're adding a couple underclassmen and a freshman to that and a sophomore, and we're going to be strong all the way around again.
It's going to be fascinating because this is going to be the first time that, to my understanding, all the FBS commissioners are going to be there. I think Notre Dame Athletic Director Jack Swarbrick is going to be there. They're going to be in a room together. After everybody just swap teams around, it's going to be some difficult conversations.
And I don't think you can be an effective quarterback in the NFL when you're on the field playing against an NFL defense and worried about what people are going to say. And he takes it personal, and I think that's gotten in his way throughout his career.
Here's Diaz, a sack fly in the first.
And that is a fair ball off the A's bullpen and in play. Perez and Rooker home. A double for Diaz, 5-2 Oakland.
Breaking ball, hit in the air, deep, right center field, up the alley. This ball is going to be gone. It just clears over the out-of-town scoreboard. And Bryce Harper with his 11th home run of the season. It's a 2-run shot.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB, 95.5 FM. It is the Wednesday show. Steve Webster with you. Joined today by young Padawan Aaron Clark. Good day, sir.
How's it going?
Mike Corson in studio.
Hello.
And Mike Hesher over there on the controls.
At least you didn't call me the old man. Like, you know, he's a young Padawan, I'm the old man.
Well, I'm older than you.
Oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
So I like this dynamic. He has to get up to talk. So every time he sits down, call on him again, and we'll get him his exercise.
I know, but when you do that, though, you mentioned he's old. He breaks wind a lot when he gets up like that, so you got to kind of watch out for that.
Yeah, I'm sitting next to him at the studios.
Okay, on the show today, we're going to reconnect with Kansas Pregame Magazine publisher John Betts. You see the magazine over here if you're watching on GreatBendPost.com or YouTube right now. So that's a new edition that is available. And it was available for Mike Corson and Cole Rife sooner than everyone else because Mike Corson didn't want to ask for more than 2 at the Pizza Hut here, so we had to go without. But Aaron Clark, he went down and took care of us yesterday. So
I knew he was coming in this week, but I was going to tweet out, it's one of those Christmas days, certain days of the first day of baseball, but when that magazine comes out, there's so much information in there.
Well, yeah, Santa Claus, we're going to talk to Santa Claus at the North Pole today. He's not going to be able to come in, so we're going to do it via the phone line. But anyway, that's good. So
it's like the week after Christmas, you know, Santa takes a break. Everyone knows that's the week that Santa has off the year, and so you can't expect to get him out of the North Pole now.
And he was one of the first guests when I came on because it was my first time last year. He did he humored me with his John Vicenta voice. So try to get him to do that.
Okay, we'll see if we'll throw out a treat to you today. Voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers, Gerard Walbrock, talking about Tiger football. They're looking for a big rebound. 3-8 season a year ago. And on the prowl. You're a little bit late there. And on the prowl with Mike Corson today, he'll be talking Panthers soccer with Chewy Loera.
Got everybody back.
Okay. So anyway, so that's what's on the show today. We'll have Wednesday sports headlines. But first, sounds the past 24 hours or so. Chris Canty on ESPN today, responding to the news that Chris Jones has indicated on social media he's willing to continue his holdout from the Kansas City Chiefs until Week 8. And that until he's willing to forfeit his weekly game check in this case, about $1.1 million a game because I can afford it. Oh, here we go. The 4-year, $80 million contract Jones signed with the Chiefs in 2020 still has 1 season remaining. Oh, really? Okay, so he liked the guarantee of that 4-year deal when, he had 4 years. But now he's still got 1 year on his contract, but he doesn't like that anymore. Now, he's subject to a fine of $50,000 for his training camp absence. And Jones' average annual salary right now, $20 million, ranks 8th among defensive tackles. He tied his career high last year with 15.5 sacks. That ranked 4th in the league, number 1 among interior pass rushers. Chris Canty say without him, they're a very mediocre defense.
You've never gone into a job and they throw some money at you and you're like, yes! And then you find out you're really good at that job, and 3 years in, you're like, I don't want to do this for
Joey
peanuts.
across the hallway's making more money than me.
And I do think that's part of what's putting the Chiefs in a tough spot. A lot of the 2019 defensive tackles, that was a stacked defensive tackle class, and a lot of those guys are getting extensions. Quinnen Williams, Dexter Lawrence, Jeffrey Simmons, just to name a few. Christian Wilkins is believed to be on that block too. A lot of those guys have gotten new money deals this year that have pushed them above the value of Chris Jones' contract. And I think Chris Jones puts the Chiefs in a really tough spot because those players are a lot younger than Chris Jones is, but they're now making more money than him. And so he wants to be making more money than them because he is a more productive, more talented player, but he's 3 or 4 years older than those cats, and it's a tough spot for the Chiefs to be in.
Yeah, it sure is. So I get he wants to make that much money. Okay, he doesn't want this, but he wants security too, so he wants a long-term deal, right? So,
and
give him $30 million and give it to him on a 2-year deal.
And that's it. I'm curious to see when they finally do get a contract worked out, what the years on it are going to be, because trying to find the balance between a high money deal and a long-term is going to be very hard with where he's at in his career. And I think with where the Chiefs kind of see themselves at, because Mahomes may start biting into more and more of that salary cap as other quarterbacks have kind of started catching up to him. I don't know. It's a tough spot to be trying to pay a 29-year-old defensive tackle.
He's been pretty quiet about this so far, but now he's starting to make some noise and saying, yeah, I'll sit out till week 8. Okay, even though I'm under contract and I'm making all this money. Whatever deal, I hope the Chiefs, even though I know they won't, or I know they will, they'll go ahead we're going to just waive those fines on there. You can still get that money, too, even though you didn't do anything in the preseason.
I don't think they can do that. I think it's in the contract, the CBA, wherever it is. I don't think they can waive it because everybody was doing that. So in the CBA, they said, no, you can't waive those fines.
Okay, very good.
There's a song, Hey Look Ma, I Made It. I can afford not to get paid $1.1 million a week. Hey Ma, I made it.
Well, and then there's a guy that I didn't get an update on how much money got sent into the GoFundMe page on the fake Chris Jones site yesterday. So that's kind of a new development. Chris Jones it's been kind of silent, means they're talking, but now Chris Jones coming out on social media. It's not the tweeter machine anymore, I don't guess. Also, Wyatt Thompson on the show yesterday, Cooper Beebe, saying he's living up to the hype, starting his 6th year in Manhattan. One of the best offensive linemen in America, according to Wyatt, and his versatility is there, too. He can play anyone. Could you play center?
No, I could not snap to. And I knew what all 5 guys on the line did, but I could not snap to save my
Well, you're like 6'9". You go up there and you take the snap, and your butt's right in the quarterback's face. You know, I mean, it's.
Then we can talk about the long arms making it a weird lever trying to snap, but. Thought Hesh had something to say.
Well, you're just so loud.
You couldn't hear it.
Okay, after finishing 19 and 15 last year, Panther volleyball team graduating 3 seniors. That's Shelley Duvall. She was on the show yesterday, saying her players are ready to step up this year.
Yeah, Valerie Luna was the big one. Huge blocker, big hitter. And so you lose that, but when you get somebody like Ella Gooden, she says Kara Feist can jump just as well. Both of them get their heads above the net. So you really don't lose that much, maybe.
Okay, so when do they start? 31st, right?
A lot of teams are starting the 31st.
I think. It's Thursday.
Thursday before
I think
the first football
okay,
game.
very, okay.
when soccer also starts, I believe.
Heather Dinich, ESPN college football senior writer, my favorite on ESPN, having difficult conversations regarding realignment at next week's meeting in Dallas between FBS commissioners. You know, it's going to be interesting because you got all these conference commissioners. Yeah, I stole from him. They stole from us. They're going here. Some of the conversation are talking about Greg Sankey, commissioner of the SEC, one of those that is convinced the 12-team format, which helped author and which was agreed upon for the 24 season, needs to be re-examined now. Does the Pac-4 get an automatic bid into the playoff? Yeah, they're going to have to restructure that a little bit. But that'll be coming up in Dallas on Friday. Emmett Golden, ESPN radio host, talking about Baker Mayfield's chip on his shoulder has hurt him through his career, as he has been named the starting quarterback for the Tampa Bay Bucks. I've always liked Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
I think you can definitely, in some of the ways that he responds to coaching, he's not always taken, or it appeared to take coaching in the most creative, constructive way. He's someone who kind of rebels against structure, especially when some of the early days in Cleveland, when you could tell he didn't necessarily like the offense that he was in. He was trying to break out of that. And so I think you can make a case that it has, but also you talk about a guy who started as a walk-on at A&M before transferring to Oklahoma, winning a Heisman.
Imagine if you listened to that coach. Sorry, Baker, you're not good enough to play here. You can play with us. We're not going to give you any money. Okay, I'll go win a Heisman. What a chip.
That would be a chip. I think what he was talking about more was, looking at what people are saying him on the tweeter machine and social media and stuff like that. He says he just needs to just not worry about that.
Tried to be Superman sometimes in the NFL, and it's almost seemed like he's tried to prove sports analysis wrong in what they've said about him, trying to force deep shots when that's not necessarily been the strength of his career.
Do you like Baker Mayfield?
It's a conflicting time.
I love him. I
love him. Yeah, I'm the same way.
He was
ever since he planted that flag in the middle of Ohio Stadium, man.
Wouldn't you have a chip? You're all set up. Your neighbor's Alice Cooper, and then they kick you out of your house.
And those were some pretty good commercials.
Great commercials.
Got your Royals fix for you here. The call on KAHI. Jordan Diaz doubled to left. Royals fall last night to the Oakland Athletics 5-4. So the A's have taken 4 or 5 from the Royals this season.
The kicker there, they're still kind of got the boycott going. Seeing attendances between 3,500 and 4,500 people a night.
And they're all yelling, "Sell the team." That's the only noise in the.
They were down to 3 drummers the other night.
It might be the most interesting atmosphere in all of MLB. Just at that game, the electric atmosphere.
My understanding, that's the announced attendance. There's less people in the stands than that, is what I've been hearing.
Okay, well, we'll start getting colder here, and maybe in September, and you'll get a lot more people coming in. Just stay in the bathrooms and stay warm. And the call on WIP or KRAP in Iuka. Bryce Harper homered to right field, and big night for the Hustlers. They're starting to get things back. Mike Trout back in action last night. Got a base hit up in Sabetha against the Squirt. So we'll see if the Hustlers can continue their surge here at the end of the year. There you go. Yes.
It was WIP on KRAP and
yes,
the Squirts. I don't know.
I'm all right. The Hustlers rally, man. It's like the Royals, but it's lasting a little longer.
Sounds the past 24 hours. Okay. Royals unveiling plans for 2 dramatically different locations for a replacement to the aging Kauffman Stadium. The first, called the East Village, would consist of a ballpark anchoring a 27-acre development just blocks away from the thriving Power and Light District. Who do you talk to, how much it's thriving? And the second location, 90-acre tract across the Missouri River in Clay County, where the Royals would have more ability to develop commercial and residential properties. The Royals announcing plans to leave Kauffman Stadium about 2 years ago, but progress has been slow deciding on a path forward. The proposed $2 billion plus ballpark and entertainment district.
I saw those pictures. I didn't understand that it was 2 locations. I thought they had pinned it down to one, and I was trying to pinpoint. I was like, I don't know these buildings. Are they going to build buildings around.
Yes, it's a
completely.
I don't believe no one builds just a stadium anymore. Everyone builds a stadium with like a neighborhood around it. And so I believe part of that's what the East, or I guess both of them are probably going to have developments around, but like the East Village for sure, I saw planning on having like a little store, like merchandise. Going to be a large development for a team that hasn't won 45 games yet this year.
The awesome thing is the renderings always show full stadiums. Well, we'll just take it down to half so we know what this thing's going to look like.
Well, it'll be full. All they've got to do is sign Bobby Witt Jr. to a 10-year deal.
It'll look a lot better if you have posters of someone to put up. You know, if you can build a big stadium and have posters of Bobby Witt Jr. to put up instead of just, well, look at this World Series trophy we won 10 years ago.
Yeah, you got to give them something. Which one? I like the north one. I don't like downtown. I get claustrophobic when I go down to downtown Kansas City because it's just so tight. And
Power and Light, you've already got Sprint Center down there. You've got Power and Light, all the bars, restaurants. I can't fathom coming up with that much space.
And people love the park. That's one of the things with Kauffman Stadium. But again, it does nothing for downtown Kansas City. And Mike Hesher is a Colorado guy, right? I mean, for the last few years.
Yes.
I mean, they put Coors Field down there, and that revitalized that area a lot.
It helped Lodo, yes, very much. I like the downtown stadium. And, well, my thing was, I'm at a baseball game. I can see the mountains. What else do you need, right? In my opinion, because you can see
if you're in the outfield, you can.
No, the outfield faces the other way. You got to be on the infield to see the mountains. But okay, as far as the Royal, I've been there. I know.
I think you see the mountains wherever you go.
Well, that's a possibility. But the speculation is it will be in Clay County because they don't think the Kansas City government, they're too divided. They won't come together. Clay County's ready to go now. This is what I was heard.
So that sales tax then that the Royals are splitting with the Chiefs now, then the Chiefs will come out and say, well, look at this. We're going to use this money to refurbish Arrowhead twice, one for the World Cup and then the second one because they're getting all that money. They don't have to share it with the Royals now.
Are they tearing down the old K? Free parking?
Eventually, yes.
Yeah.
Well, just think of all those $50 spots you're opening back up again.
Maybe they'll just use they'll have a shuttle system and they'll use the old K as the parking lot for the new one.
You know how Hoisington sold its Cardinal at midfield? I want Crown Vision in my living room.
Put a bid on it, Mikey.
That's the one thing about the renderings. You did not see a Crown Vision at the renderings of the new stadiums. Did you?
There's one from the inside, and you see the fountains, and I thought there was something in the outfield. But
yeah, but it's not like the Crown, the one they have now.
Well, whatever they build is going to be pretty cool. I don't have to worry about it.
Just don't go cookie cutter. One of the stadiums looked kind of like the old ones from the 80s. Like, don't waste your money on that. Make it custom to Kansas City.
Make it look like Municipal Stadium used to look like all the way back when the Oakland A's played there and the Kansas City Chiefs. There you go.
The big old light poles, those were cool. If you're old enough to remember those.
You've always been a light standard guy.
Yes,
you know?
I have.
You always have.
Let's just bring back the beer on third base while we're at it. You know, like get real to the classics.
Okay, before we get to John Betts, anything else that is on your mind today?
That was it. I was hoping you'd bring up the Royals, and I've always got track standby if you want. Faith Kipyegon winning the 1,500 record holder.
Okay, we're going to go on John Betts, Kansas Pregame Magazine, coming up next on Sports Day.
Marmy Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has the largest inventory of new Rams and Jeeps in central and western Kansas. Make this the summer event and come into Marmy's today and get a $10,000 rebate on a new 1,500 Ram Laramie truck and save $7,000 on a new Grand Cherokee Limited demo. Lease a new Wrangler Hybrid demo and get a total of $13,000 off MSRP. Marmy's needs used vehicles and will give fair trade and allowance or just buy your old vehicle for cash. Visit marmies.net. Marmies, make it happen.
Smart stays on the road. That's why it's in your engine. Cenex Maxtron synthetic diesel engine oils give you the smartest oil for the toughest conditions. These premium oils maintain 80% of their viscosity throughout the drain interval for superior engine performance across extreme temperatures. That horizon looks good with the competition behind you. Cenex Maxtron diesel engine oils. Oil that runs smart.
Contact American Plains Co-op Fuel Department in Great Bend, your certified Cenex distributor today.
Barton Community College is excited to announce the expansion of the welding program with an Associate of Applied Science degree and a 2-semester certificate. With our expanded offerings, you'll gain knowledge in welding techniques, safety procedures, blueprint reading, and more. Get hands-on training from Barton faculty with industry experience, ensuring you develop the skills needed to excel in your career. Now enrolling. Learn more at welding.bartoncccc.edu.
At NextTech Wireless, it's wireless on your terms. You pick a 36, 24, or 18-month agreement and get a device on us like the iPhone 14 or the new Google Pixel 7. Stuck in a contract with your current provider? Switch now and get up to $1,000 per line. For more details, stop by your nearest NextTech Wireless location today or call or text our customer care team at 877-621-2600. NextTech Wireless, home on the range.
What day is it? It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Brought to you by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
Welcome back, Sports Day here on KVGB. High school sports. Sports Day's back, and that means John Betts, Kansas Pregame Magazine, joining us today. And we called you Santa Claus earlier because you've been delivering presents throughout the Golden Belt. And I've got the newest version, Volume 18, 2023. Congratulations on another successful publication, John Betts.
Well, thank you. Volume 18 means a couple things. The first thing is when we did the cover shoot, the feature shoot this year, I asked if any of the players were born in 2006 when we released our first issue in 2006. And if I remember right, I don't think any of them were.
Well, you're going to be around long enough. You're going to start getting, kids of parents who were on the cover.
Right, and then the other thing that means is that I'm old. I turned 49 this year, which I realize is not old, but I now wear readers all the time when I'm reading small text. Sometimes I can't remember what the next stop on the delivery route is. I make more frequent stops at bathrooms along the way. There's just a lot of things that are different now than 18 years ago. But it was a good, actually really good process this year. I had 2 interns, Caleb Becker from Abilene and Cassidy Beam from McPherson, both former standout basketball players that play collegiately now. Cassidy plays at Tabor, and Caleb plays at William Jewell, I believe, or Lindenwood, I think. And then Keegan McCulloch continues to do a great job, and it was really a pretty smooth process this year. So excited to get it wrapped up.
Okay, the cover shoot. Land Sharks. Tell me about the cover this year. You've got 2 different groups of players.
Well, I try to do a sponsor tie-in with the cover shoot all the time because that's how we make our money as sponsors. So there was supposed to be, and there will be, a new shark exhibit at Rolling Hills Zoo. Their reptile enclosure, they're adding a big aquarium, and they're going to have some sharks in it, but it's taken a little bit longer than they originally thought to get it all done. So we thought, let's incorporate the sharks and the fact that Land Shark is kind of used as to refer to defensive players. And so we gathered a group of the top defensive players across the state, and the top half of the cover is the smaller classifications, 6-man up to 2A, I believe, and then the bottom of the cover is 3A through 6A, and so that was kind of a fun play on it. Mill Valley uses the land shark thing big time on defense. If you see they make a tackle, they raise the fin up above their head, and I knew that it came from Ole Miss, was where it originated. Whenever it started, I think it was like 2008 or something. We did it in the intro piece to the features. We explained where it came from, but there was a linebacker for Ole Miss under Houston Nutt that actually, he was a veteran who came back and played college football, and he was really energetic, and he kind of came up with this land shark deal and raising the fin and those kind of things. And then different programs have used it to kind of characterize their defense over the years. And so it was a fun way to look at some of the best defensive players in the state. And then we also did one on quarterbacks on the inside cover, and brought in some of the top quarterbacks from across the state and did some features on them as well.
Okay, so I've got one question here, John Betts from Smith Center. I noticed that there's 2 red men on the front. Do those guys, are those actually Smith Center kids, or did you just put 2 other kids in Smith Center uniforms?
You've got
to.
Those are Smith Center kids, and they're identical twins.
Okay, all right. Okay.
And I went to high school with their uncle.
Okay, all right.
But they're the Franklin brothers, and they're actually their family. Their grandpa played high school football at Lebanon, and I'm guessing this would have been early 70s. I'm just guessing. And he actually got a scholarship offer to Arizona State out of high school at Lebanon. And then their dad played at Smith Center for a couple of years, but his family had moved up to Scotts Bluff because they had expanded their business up there, and he actually finished his high school career at Scotts Bluff, and he played in a state championship game at the high school there, and they play at the University of Nebraska Stadium. So, but he moved back home, grown up into an adult. He has a business where he pours concrete and does some specialized concrete stuff. But his identical twins are really outstanding players, and they're also both great wrestlers. One of them won a state championship in wrestling last year as well. And they should have Smith Center in pretty good shape again this year.
Okay, this is our usual conversation. We go all over the place. But one more thing, though. So what is the significance of Lebanon, Kansas, John Betts?
Beyond the fact that I grew up 8 miles north of it, I mean, that it's the contiguous center of the 48 states.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, that's right.
I got off the highway and just went up there to that big thing they've got up, that monument out there. So there you go. So that's.
I used to move heavy equipment up and down the road right by that thing growing up. So my dad will be 82 in October, and he lives 8 miles north of Lebanon, and he runs heavy equipment 12 hours a day still. He's out in the pasture right now somewhere digging a waterway or building a terrace or something like that. So,
John, you've got the thing I like about this, of course, everything's going digital. You can see the stuff on digital, but with this magazine, one, it's a nice thing for the radio play-by-play guys. I mean, Aaron Clark has to have his nose out of it.
I was actually just thinking about starting a GoFundMe and all the radio play-by-play guys would have to chip in like $50 or something like that.
I already gave to the Chris Jones.
Okay.
Yeah, I got hooked into that one. Yeah, I gave a bunch of money, but it's something that these kids hang on to. You know, and that's a cool part about this.
I hope so. You know, I think a lot of the kids they're not super tied into it right now, but hopefully their parents grab a copy and someday. When the kid comes home, he digs it out of a box or something and gets to look back at it. And that's something that we say all the time. And we printed back out in Denver again this year. I had a printer in Lawrence, Kansas, and they did a good job, but they got purchased by this big national conglomerate, and their turn times just increased massively. And so we went back out to Denver, and I think it looks better. I think the paper quality is better, and it feels better. And the people at Denver, they work 24 hours, 7 days a week, so we don't ever have any limitations with them. So while I was excited to have a business in Kansas that did it, but I was excited to go back to somebody that works as hard as we do. I'm not trying to take a pot shot at this other organization, but I think I've said this before, the people in Denver, there have been times where I've been on the phone with somebody in their design department or, helping me out with a font problem or a color issue or things like that at like 4 o'clock in the morning because there's somebody there all night long doing stuff. So it was good to get back out to Denver, and you probably saw we went to a Rockies game, and the Rockies are kind of miserable, and they lost to the Diamondbacks at the end, but it was fun to go out and get to do something like that making the trip out to Denver. So.
People can pick the magazines up here in Great Bend. Aaron Clark went over, got several from the Field House, Advanced Therapy and Sports Medicine. Also, Pizza Hut's been a pretty good sponsor for you over the years, haven't they? I mean,
yes, Pizza Hut. Yeah, there's the Pizza Hut. There are several large franchises. There used to be several smaller franchise groups, but as with all things, a lot of those have kind of consolidated, and so there are several large Pizza Hut franchises, and we have the Pizza Huts in basically the western half of the state and the northeast corner of the state. All of those locations get copies of the magazine, and it's a good relationship because it really drives people in. This year, as much as I can remember, I've walked into places and they have been like, "Oh, people have been asking about this. I'm so glad it's here," that kind of thing, and that makes you feel good when you hear that. So,
okay, John, real quick here, you really, of course, honed in on the top talent in the state, and this is going to be kind of an overall question for you for the entire state, and it's so overall top end football talent in Kansas this year compared to other years. A good one, really good, or kind of put it in perspective.
It's as far as looking at high-level college prospects, it's not on par with what last year was. Avery Johnson and Dylan Edwards are once-in-a-generation type players. And, certainly there are still a number of outstanding players. Michael Boganowski at Junction City is a really great player who I kind of compare to Isaiah Simmons from Olathe North that went on to play at Clemson and now plays for the Arizona Cardinals. He's in this class of 2023 or 2024, but he's yet to make his decision yet. I think KU, K-State, and Oklahoma are the top 3 on his list, and I know obviously a lot of people in our area would like to see him go to K-State. He's a great player from Junction City, and there's a handful of other guys. I actually think the junior class right now is probably better, and Jaden Woods from Mill Valley is actually on the front cover as a junior, as is Juju Marks from St. Thomas Aquinas. Both of those guys are big-time defensive line recruits. Jaden Woods has an offer from Alabama. So strictly speaking, versus last year, it's not nearly as highly ranked class, but it's very possible that last year's class was the highest ranked class that the state of Kansas has ever produced.
Well, John, it's always great talking to you, and we always Christmas time is here again. Aaron Clark, I'm looking at him right now. He's just digging right through it right now, and but it's really good stuff for referees too, because we can kind of get previews on that as well. So
I do get a lot. Scott Goodhart was wanting to know when I was going to be in Topeka so that he could get a copy. Yep, I media types and officials are very interested in that for sure. So.
Congratulations on another good one. We'll hook up here as we go through the football season. John, always appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Sounds good. Thanks for the time.
Okay, you bet. John Betts, publisher of Kansas Pregame Magazine. Just what do you think there? And that's pretty nice, isn't it?
It's just incredible to have this kind of depth on all the football teams in Kansas. It's the exact kind of stuff that you look for when you're trying to figure out who's going to be good in the Big 12, who's going to be good in the SEC, who's going to be good in NFL. It's just that, but for the high school level.
Yeah,
it gives you a breakdown of every team, or just everything you could want to know. It gives you the top players you need to know for the teams, and it's incredible work.
Yep, and of course we'll have it out in basketball and wrestling and things like that, and girls basketball, boys basketball. I just like these pictures, the shoots that they put so much time into.
I still have the Kansas pregame that I was
Were you on the cover?
I don't think we were on the cover, but there was a.
Well, they didn't have you on there. You were one of the top offensive linemen in the state.
I was part of like a big shoot because we had like an offensive line and defensive line feature that year, but I don't think it was the cover shoot. But I think like the mid story feature was for the offensive line. I'll try to find it. I'm pretty sure I found it in my old dresser drawer.
Gunnar Gross from Salina Central. Nothing against Gunnar, but it's kind of an interesting photo.
It's one of those where you kind of gotta be a little bit older. That way you can fill out your frame for that pose to look good. That classic quarterback pose, arm back, doesn't look good if you don't have a little bit on your bicep and tricep there.
All right, we're gonna take a break. We'll talk Fort Hays State football with Gerard Wellbrock and Chewy Loera, also Great Bend Panther soccer coming up on Sports.
If you need physical therapy, consider Advanced Therapy in Great Bend and Progressive Therapy in Larned and Hayes.
We had a lady that was having some severe back and hip pain, and we worked with her for about 6 to 7 weeks, and we were able to actually restore greater than 80% of her mobility, and we were able to keep her from actually needing that surgery for about 4 years.
You don't need to hurt. Physical therapy can help. Call Advanced or Progressive Therapy and Sports Medicine to explore your treatment options and get your life back.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Zach Strite, commercial lender for Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time, and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people. I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. At Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
We'll have West Coast afternoon baseball for you Wednesday.
Swing and a high fly ball, deep left center. Back goes Bellinger on the track in front of the ivy, and that ball's going to be out of here. Bobby Witt Jr. has hit a 2-run homer here at Wrigley Field.
It's Kansas City and Oakland wrapping up their 3-game series Wednesday. Coverage begins at 2 on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Pros Baseball brought to you in part by Gleason Landscaping, Empire Improvements by Barton Community College, and by Next Tech.
He's been the voice of the Tigers for over 20 years, much longer than Wyatt Thompson, Steve Webster, and the legendary Bob Davis. And he's not even that old yet. Here's Gerard Wellbrock.
That's garbage. He's an old man. Hey, welcome back, Ger.
That's awesome. Hesher did that, didn't he? He put that together.
No, he did not. He's the video coordinator. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
We let him do that stuff. So, okay, there you're back. So what is it? 21?
Start of the 22nd, I think. I have to go add them up.
Christmas.
I know it. I am getting old.
Back again. Here we go. A busy summer with Hayes Lark, summer baseball. Now you're getting back into it with football. So I wanted to. Fort Hays went 3-8 last year. Put that in perspective on what they've done in recent seasons, Gerard, with Chris Brown.
Well, it's the worst under Chris. I think his first year they won 4, and then 5, and 6, 7, and they just progressively got better. Got, of course, the 11-0, then won 9 and 8, and then had the big drop. And yeah, it's uncharted territory, and for everybody. And it's amazing how quick you get spoiled.
Yeah.
Because every year was a trajectory. All right, we're getting better, and then you win, and then the next year you win one more, and man, just get a few more pieces, and that happened. And it's like they always say, it's sometimes it's easier to get to the top of the mountain than stay there. COVID, I think, and we've talked about this, had a big impact in all of that, and then there's a lot of other factors with that. But yeah, it's been interesting, but I sense obviously you have a new focus to get back where you were, but I think they've addressed some of the issues and have a good vibe, at least early on right now.
Is it a rebuild or a reset, Gerard?
That's a good question. Maybe both. It's a young team. It's an incredibly young team. There's some who, and it's kind of, and I think you're going to have this for a few more years. With COVID, it's a weird time because you have players who still could play, but yet they've played a long time because they still have that COVID year if they want to use it. So I think a lot of them intend to, I'm going to use it, and then they get to a point where I'm done, man. I've been doing this a long time. I've graduated. Some have already gotten a second degree. It's time to move on. So you have a lot of that, and Fort Hays had some of that. Chance Fuller, the returning quarterback, could have come back. It was a mutual decision. You know what? He went to transfer to Colorado State Pueblo. Probably a good move. He's been here a long time, has done some great things. His old quarterbacks coach from Fort Hays State's the head coach of the Thunderwolves, so it was a good fit for his final year. You have some of that. You guys moved to Division I. They moved up, got some good opportunities with their senior transfer year. So there's only 4 seniors on the roster. It's a young team. So in that regard, it's a rebuild. But then, because of and we documented it last year, just the injuries, and you kind of forget how bad it was until you start looking again the year after. It's like, oh, yeah, this guy played 4 games, and then he was done for the year. You have a lot of young kids still who got some valuable experience. So in a way, I would say it's kind of both. But with the youth, it feels more like a rebuild, but yet there's a lot of faces that got some valuable playing time last year.
Okay, in the media poll, the Tigers were picked 10th out of 11th. The coaches obviously have some respect for what Chris Brown has done at Fort Hays State. They were 8th. Now, on the media side, where do you have the Tigers?
I had them 8th. I think 4 through 10 is one game. That's a win or a loss against the right or wrong team. I think that's how even it is. I think the top 3 and even the top 4 probably are pretty. I mean, I think Pitt State's the team to beat. I think Northwest is 2. And I think Emporia 3. I don't think there was much discrepancy on either poll. You could argue 4 amongst maybe 3 or 4 teams. And if Fort Hays has a great year, you win a game or 2 you didn't expect to, I think you can finish 5th or 4th, in the upper half. And you lose a couple of close ones, and all of a sudden you're going to finish there toward the bottom. That's how tight it is every year. I think with the coaches, you have the respect for Chris Brown. And I think maybe the coaches probably – that's the thing about Division II. You don't know everything about every team like you do in Division I. It's so readily available. I'm not sure everybody understood the whole injury situation with Fort Hays State last year. If Pitt State had the injury situation Fort Hays had, they would not have won the conference, probably don't make the playoffs. It would have affected everybody. So I think with the coaches, you have that and understand what Chris is about. I also think a lot of them knew how young they were going to be, and it's tough to win in the MIAA with a lot of youth, and that's kind of where Fort Hays is at. So that's probably a pretty fair pick from where they've been the last couple of years. I think they're hopeful and expect to do a little bit better.
Okay, Caden Sharman, he's a freshman this year. Holt Hanzik is playing this year for Fort Hays State, but you have some area guys that are back and looking to do great things that have already done some good things, and one of those is Larned product Mason Perez. I'm really looking forward to seeing what his junior year now, what it's like for the Tigers.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to mention his name. I thought he had a tremendous year a year ago, really. And he was one of those. He got thrust as a freshman to play more than he probably should have. But I think you're going to see the dividends now. And I thought last year you always hear the game slowed down. I think you saw that. And just talking to him at media day and seeing him in a practice, I think he's got a chance to have a tremendous year. I mean, he's always had the speed. He's got when he came, he had that skinnier frame. I mean, he's filling out now, and he's 20-some years old. You can tell, you see that body change, and just he's confident. I think he even said it just the confidence now of knowing, hey, I can play at this level. I'm going to be okay. I can do this. I think you're seeing that. You're seeing him become a leader on the defensive side of the ball. They brought in some new faces in the secondary. He and Ty Cooper are 2 veterans back on the back end of that defense, and they've kind of been leaders with that group, and I think you're seeing that pay off, and he just looks good out there and flying to the ball, and I think he's got a chance to have a really, really good year. And it's the confidence, I think, just talking to him a little bit. I mean, you can just sense it's not a still questioning and trying to figure it out. Now he can just go out there and play. He understands the system, his role, and I think you're going to see big things with him.
Another third-team All-MIAA selection a year ago, Miles Menges from Central Plains.
Yeah, he's been dealing with a back injury for 3 years, and it slowed him a little bit. But I think that was kind of by design. Just we're going to ease him in, it's going to be a second year as a defensive lineman. He came in as a linebacker and had a great year. They moved him down, and they still sometimes do a 3-3 stack defense, and he'll slide back and be that third linebacker. But just another year on the defensive line. I think he's figured it out. In some ways, he's realized, hey, when I was a linebacker, you had to read everything, and everything's in front of you. Now I read the guy in front of me, and I just got to work on that. And I think he really worked on his footwork, getting that better, getting that quick first step, and doing all the things. Him and Gavin Hazelhorst, the Hayes High product, who went to K-State for a year when he redshirted, Gavin's starting to look more comfortable. I think those two have a chance to be really good at a defensive end position, and I think a lot of it is just it's another year now of experience. Miles, obviously, one of the team leaders on defense. He's probably the team leader on defense, and I think he's got a chance to have a really, really good year. He's got a little bit bigger, and he probably fits that defensive end role a little bit better this year than he did a year ago.
Dalton Miller saw action in 10 games last year, Gerard, but kind of limited action. Does his role increase this year?
Yeah, he was mainly special teams last year. He's been working with the twos. He's probably not going to start, but I think he's got a chance, and he'll be special teams heavy again this year. It is a good job, but I think he'll have a chance to get on the field, and unfortunately, knock on wood, it doesn't happen again. We saw what happened last year. I feel there will be a time throughout the season he's going to be called upon to play some big minutes in some big games, but you can see kind of the same with him, even though he didn't get on the field with the defensive unit as much, that he looks better out there. And just another year, the body type and everything, he's going to have a chance. But he's in the mix. You know, and right now they're still, even though we're almost a week away from the opener, still a lot of competition. And if there's one difference, I think, this year than the last couple of years, it's competition. They had over 150 out, a lot of walk-ons, but there's more competition for every position than I've ever seen. And I think it's made even guys who are going to be back, and you figure there's your starter, it has made them better because there's a Dalton Miller pushing them. There's another guy trying to get their job and trying to move up the ladder to get playing time. That hasn't always been here, especially last year. And I think that might be the biggest difference. I think practices have been more spirited. There's been a few more skirmishes than I can remember, and I think that's a good thing because the intensity level's been up, and I think a lot of it is there's just more competition for every position going into this season.
Gerard, appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week, okay? Great preview.
Hey, thanks, Steve. Good talking to you. Good to be back on with you guys again.
Okay, all right. Gerard Walbrock, voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers. Sports Day brought to you by American Plains Co-op, Bulk Fuel Department, your certified Cenex lubricant dealer in Great Bend, and by Equity Bank, adding value for our customers and communities. Equity Bank in Great Bend, Hoisington, and Larned. See the locations tab at equitybank.com for more locations. Mike Corson on the prowl coming up.
From the Mayo Money Management Studios, 1590 KVGB Great Bend and 95.5 FM K238CK Hoisington.
Barton Community College is excited to announce the expansion of the welding program with an Associate of Applied Science degree and a 2-semester certificate. With our expanded offerings, you'll gain knowledge in welding techniques, safety procedures, blueprint reading, and more. Get hands-on training from Barton faculty with industry experience, ensuring you develop the skills needed to excel in your career. Now enrolling. Learn more at welding.bartonccc.edu.
Sports Day presents On the Prowl.
Yeah, we're returning experience, returning numbers and depth. And I think it's going to put us in a good position to take us to the next level, and that's to compete in every game.
And I know one of the concerns, it wasn't just inexperience last year. You got 15, 16-year-old kids going up against 17 and 18. Have they physically matured or put on some weight and size strength?
Yeah, so we were able to put in some work in the offseason. So, I mean, learning the part of the game is going to be huge for us, at least learning the roles within the formation, where to move, where to shift, and basically, yeah, what's your job. And so I think that's what we focused on mostly was the knowledge part of it. And along with their natural growth and speed that they're going to increase in, that knowledge piece is going to tie in and really boost us there.
And I know some of the other sports have summer stuff going on and soccer stuff going on in the summer where they can get some experience.
A lot of soccer. So we joined a summer league where we'll play every Wednesday, and that'll go for about 6 weeks. And then every weekend or every other weekend we'll go to a tournament somewhere, and we'll play 3 games each tournament. So we played maybe close to about 20-ish games this summer. So as far as reps, no shortage of reps. It's just a matter of putting the pieces together to this year's puzzle and going from there.
Personnel-wise, maybe a little thin last year. You're talking experience and depth this year. How big is that going to be for you?
We're at 46 total for the roster. As far as varsity level, I think we've got maybe 15 or 16 guys that can honestly compete and keep us in the game at the varsity level, which is a difference from maybe 8 guys last year. So it's a good jump there.
Throw out some names to me because you had a chance to have everybody back. So who are some of the guys that are going to make an impact for you?
So immediately we got Ramiro Rocha. He was recently got recognized in the Acacia covered for top 25 players in 5A. So I think we're really excited to have him. And he's a 16-year-old senior, so he's on the young side for a senior. And I think he'll be 17 maybe in a couple days. For as young as he is, just the level of play that he can bring and his leadership ability as well to just motivate these guys. He doesn't always have to be a vocal leader, just be a lead by example, and I think he does a really good job of that. We got Pedro Enriquez, who made a really big leap this summer as far as knowledge and that knowledge piece, and so he's really learning what to do along with Marcos, and then maybe we got Gus in the midfield, and all the guys around those guys are going to really going to be able to help us stay in the game.
Talking to Panther soccer coach Chuy Loera, what's the WAC look like? We know, I think Hayes, I believe, also had one of the top kids. Dodge, Garden, always good. Liberal. So any idea what the rest of the league is looking like?
It's going to be a tough league. It always is. It used to be maybe the top 2-3 teams, and then maybe there was a big gap between the 4th and the 5th. But it's starting to close off from between 1 and 5. You're not going to see those 5-1 losses maybe like you would. With some of the between the top 3 and maybe the last 4 and 5. But no, it's a tight race. It's loaded, and each game should be interesting.
You guys are on the grass still out at Kavanaugh. Do you guys get to play on the new turf at all this year?
We're going to try and squeeze one game on the turf. It'll probably be the Saturday of September 19th against Wichita Trinity. But, yeah, we're still grass. Hopefully we keep that grass there for a little bit longer. It's not always excited to be on grass, especially right now with the mosquitoes. But other than that, yeah, we're excited to get 1 or 2 games on that new turf as well.
And some of the other sports get the jamboree and the scrimmages this weekend. What's your schedule looking like these first couple weeks?
So just Tuesday we went to Salina for our very first jamboree. I think it's the first year soccer's ever had one, and we had both Salina School, Salina South, Central, Hayes, and ourselves. And we got to play 30 minutes against South and Central, and it's nice to get those preseason reps without for maybe some of the boys without the pressure of the win and loss. You kind of just go play, stress free, play a little bit more free, and yeah, get to some reps before it counts on the 31st against Liberal.
Back for an 8th year. Last year you were closing in on that career record for wins. Be nice to get that one off your back this year.
I think so. I don't know how many. I think maybe we're 1 or 2 wins away from that. Coach Aldo and I, we've been coaching together all 8 years that I've been here. So I think, that'll be great for us to get. But really, we want more than 2 wins. So I'm excited for that, but at the same time, it's okay.
Win the first 2 games and it's all done.
Yeah. Well, that'll be a good way to start.
Coach Chuy Loera, good luck to the Panther soccer team this year.
Thank you.
More sports day after this.
Community bankers should actually know your community. Hi, I'm Sean Powelson, president of Your Local Equity Bank. As someone who lives here, I know many of you, and I know what's important to you. I've been in the industry a long time and I've helped many navigate through financial challenges and lead them to financial opportunities. I believe that people bank with people, so I'd like to invite you to stop by one of our region's 5 locations and meet our friendly, helpful staff. Let us show you our commitment to serving you and our communities. Because at Equity Bank, we're right here beside you. Member FDIC.
When it comes to car maintenance, it's good to know a local guy that can get things done. The Eller family has been in the auto repair business in Great Bend forever. Greg Eller continues that long tradition of helping people. Eller Automotive Repair specializes in wheel alignments, oil changes, and general maintenance for all makes and models of cars and small trucks. Open 8 to 5 Monday through Thursday, 8 to 4 Fridays. Eller Automotive Repair at 915 Morton, right behind Great Bend Appliance, Furniture, and Sleep Source, 10th and Morton.
Venture Corporation is a homegrown company with almost 50 years of experience in asphalt, paving, and construction, and they need equipment operators, mechanics, and CDL drivers. Venture offers many benefits, including 401k and Blue Cross Blue Shield health insurance. Call Leslie for all the details. Work for a family-owned and family-oriented company that is here today and will be here in the future. Venture Corporation, South Highway 281, Great Bend, is an equal opportunity employer.
It's Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. Presented by Barton Community College and the Cougar Athletic Department.
And welcome back in now to Sports Day on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM. As we are just about ready to wrap up our Wednesday show. Steve Webster had to step out, so I'm Aaron Clark, holding down the end host duties on the show today. Still joined in studio by the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Mike Hesher.
Man, you are so full of crap.
We gotta pomp and circumstance. We still gotta bring the energy.
Okay, we can bring the energy. I'm not worried about that.
That's what we're all about.
Okay.
So we were talking about Fort Hays State football earlier, and may have noticed the name. Great Bend fans may have noticed the name missing. Alex Schramer.
Correct.
Not there anymore. For good reasons, we're led to believe. Hesher, you got something about it.
My understanding is he did graduate, and he's only going to be like a sophomore or junior eligibility-wise, but he did graduate, and kind of like what Gerard mentioned, sometimes you just get tired of it. You understand. You just get tired.
I didn't do the waiting around.
Right.
Schramer, he kind of stuck around after the COVID deal. Once COVID hit, I was kind of done, but I think you said he said go ahead into Arizona.
He went to Arizona optometry school, is what I've been told.
There you go, and he made a couple MIAA academic honor
I believe
rolls.
so. He was a very smart young man, yeah, and he was a pretty good athlete, but he's done, and that happens.
I respect it a ton. Just not and don't get me wrong, Dalton Miller sticking out, still playing. That takes a lot of gumption to do. It takes a lot of guts to just quit like that too, and realize that my playing days are over. There's a little more to life than football.
There is life after football, and I don't know about you, but maybe he wants to have and this is more pros, but have a healthy body. I mean, because the injuries do take its toll.
And especially, he wasn't ever a very
He wasn't a very big
guy. He
no.
was definitely more of a finesse slot
Speed
kind
guy,
of receiver, speed, be with his route running rather than try to go up and moss you. But incredible talent. Wish him all the best of luck in optometry school in Arizona.
Yes.
Oh, it's a great show today. Don't want to just say because I'm the one wrapping it up, but we had Kansas Pregame Magazine publisher John Betts.
He's great, man. I love talking to him.
It's just I think I could talk to him all day if I had to, just talking about different schools, not only just in the area, but we can talk about Emporia and the schools out there.
Well, in Lebanon, I forgot that Lebanon is the geographic center of
the contiguous 48. It's incredible.
Only John Betts would know that or bring that up.
And that's because he's dedicated. He's dedicated to his craft. Also on the show today, we're joined by the voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers, Gerard Wellbrock, longtime voice of the Fort Hays State Tigers. I should say a legendary man in his own right. And then, of course, we had on the prowl with Chewy Loera, head coach of the Great Bend High Panthers, as he talked with Mike Corson. You guys can tune in here tomorrow as Webby will be back to host the show, the Thursday edition of Sports Day. Mike Hesher will be there, Mike Corson will be there, and then there'll be me being loud and boisterous on the end, as always, bringing the energy. Hesher, last thoughts?
We probably need to go.
Yeah, it is just about time. Catch you in tomorrow for Sports Day. It's been on 1590 KVGB and 95.5 FM.
Agriculture.